suppose that we have a group of items and we want to group those items by a specific column, and the next column will have each of the items separated by a comma. For instance, as you can see here, we have items A. The next column would be candles, comma matches, comma wax. Items B, flashlight, comma helmet, comma clothes. And suppose we wanted to group them by items A and items B, and in our table we had it like item A, candle, item A, matches, item A, wax, item B, flashlight, item B, helmet, item B, clothes. And this by far is one of the most popular questions that we see on Stack Overflow and other places because this comes up a lot. So in this example, we have an item, as you can see, toy, Legos, toy, micro machines, furniture, lamp, toy, cars, pet, hamster, and so on and so forth. So what we want to do is we want to group everything by the item, and then we want the item types to be separated by a column. So for instance, we would have, like, just using the first two columns, we would just have toy and then Legos, comma, micro machines. And that's kind of what we want our result to be. Well, this is one of these examples where we can use for XML path. So we can select a comma, I'm sorry, it should be comma space, and this is of course between single apostrophes, and then the item type. So we're selecting here from the table household, order by item type, and then for XML path. And let's show you what this results in. It will line up all the item types and separate each of them by a comma. By the way, notice on helicopter, which is the last one, there is no comma, which is very important because we don't want there to be a comma on the last item after the last item is done. Now, we're going to use this select query in another query that's going to pull out these items and then group by, pull out these item types and then group by item. But this is what this query performs, and you're about to see the bigger query together. I just wanted to show you what this individual query looks like so that you kind of know what it's pulling out. So you can see that query that we just listed right here. The difference is we threw in a where clause, and we're basically doing a join essentially, even though we're not doing a join, but we're putting item where the first table, which is here from household, equals item on the second table, which is in that query that you saw above. And what we're doing is we're selecting out the H1 item, then we're doing the we're taking the function stuff, and that's where we're placing our query here. So that's the expression. We're starting at 1, go to 1, and we're looking for the blank space. And then this is, we're going to call this column items in the house. Now I'm going to do this without the group by to show you step by step what this query does. So it produces each item and then it lists all the items in the house part of that item. Now you'll notice we don't want toy listed 100 times or numerous times like here. We don't want furniture listed, and that's why the next part we're going to group by the item. And you can see we have furniture, we have pet, and we have toy, and then we have each of the items. And notice that there's no ending comma. So that kind of shows you the step-by-step breakdown. For instance, this is without the group by. That's where the group by comes in. And then you can think about what the previous query that we showed up here brought out. This is where it's selecting. This basically lists all the item types. And but since we're throwing, the only thing missing in that statement is this where clause, that's where you get the, hold on 1 second, that's where you get cars, dinosaurs, Legos, micro machines, helicopter, or chair, couch, lamp in that example, because it's where the household 1 table item equals household 2 table item. That's why it's listing this. Whereas in the other, because there is no where clause, we have this where clause removed. What it's doing essentially is it's listing them all out. But that's an example of how you can group by one item on a table and have the other value separated by a comma, sorry. Now, what would happen if you needed 3 or 4 or 5 or 6? Let's say you had 5 or 6 columns, like item, and then item 2, and then item, and so on and so forth. And this is where the question tends to get popular. Well, then you would put another and here, and you would do a join on your where clause, and then of course you would do that second column here, whatever that would be. So this query, you can expand on this if you have multiple columns that you want to group by. Oh yeah, and then you would add the group by to the second item. But this will show you how you can kind of bring everything out. Now, how does this play into? What's a real world example of this? One of the more common examples of this is the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones. One of the examples I have, or not examples, but one of the things that I've done with is I had to put all of the symbols in each of those indexes listed out with a comma, and I got them from a table where the table had like S&P 500 and then one of the symbols, S&P 500, another symbol, Dow Jones, a symbol, etc., etc. And so I had to list it all out. So this is something that can be used quite frequently, and like I said, this is one of the more popular questions that people have. So this shows you an example of how you can do that. This is the syntax. You can play around, build your own table, have several items listed here, and then whatever you want to use.